being poor freaking sucks. Anyways, I had a really stressful day, and I thought, what a better way to cope than to go complain on the internet. I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but I am really getting tired of the whole not having money thing. Granted, like, I did leave school, but to be fair, I left school because I could not afford to go. And yes, I did have things like OSAP. If you're in Canada, you'll know what that is. And, that was great, but it was also like to be able to afford rent, to be able to work enough without having my grades suffer, and also make time to just like live life and not be mentally drained, basically was impossible. And I thought, so when I signed up for school, I initially applied for a psychology degree, and so that's a 4-year degree, right? Halfway through my first year, I decided that into second year I was gonna go into teaching, so that's what I did. Didn't know that the program was 6 years total, because at least for some schools I know they do it so it's like 4 years and then you go to teachers college, but the program I was in at the specific school I was in, they have it so it's a 6-year program just all meshed together. Little did I know that that would be the case, so I decided, yeah, no, I cannot afford to be in school for 3 more years, because I was quite literally on the last little like remains of like what I had for grocery money, and I decided, you know what, honestly, I'm just gonna work for a year. And the plan was I was just gonna work for a year, do the whole YouTube thing, figure my life out, and then go back to school. But that's probably not gonna happen. So I decided I'm gonna make a video on it. So if anybody here knows, in Canada, at least in Ontario, it's tax season. So filed my taxes today. Had a really stressful time doing it because it's my first time doing it by myself. Had to call my sister. Literally called her up, and I was like literally bawling my eyes out to her. Okay, you know what blows my mind is I've worked a flippin' ton. I like, just for reference, I made $21,000 in a year last year. And I don't have any of it because I had to spend it all on rent, groceries, getting my wisdom teeth out, a lot of other things. And for those of you who don't know, I was actually researching this right before I started filming, and I didn't even realize that I am actually part of the poverty line, apparently. Apparently, if you make less than 25,000, I think, or something like that, like, I'll put the information on the screen. Apparently, if you make less than that, you're considered to be in the poverty line, or even below it. For a single person, too. Like, that's for a single person, okay? And, like, it's not to say, like, I went from having, like, total, like, riches to suddenly I'm at the rags part. I wasn't, like, entirely lower class, but I wasn't entirely, like, middle class either. Like, I was kind of lower middle class. So growing up, like, my parents did what they could. A lot of stuff we got was from garage sales because my mom was super freaking amazing, and she wanted us to have everything that we could have. Like, she wanted to give us the life that other kids could have in the ways that she could. So, I really appreciate both my parents for making the sacrifices they did for that to happen. That being said, though, when I was younger, I definitely did notice that, I wasn't exactly like other kids in terms of like what I had. Like, all these kids would have these fancy Crocs and like Birkenstocks and silly bands, and all I had was stuff that my alarm is going off. I simply just didn't have that stuff. Like, I'd have I grew up with Gap sweaters and a lot of stuff from Value Village and garage sales, which honestly, you know what? They have a lot of cute there now, but back in the day, thrifting just like wasn't really as common. Like, now thrifting is like, oh my god, let's go thrifting. And back then, I definitely felt a lot of shame. A lot of the kids would be shopping at Aeropostale, or they'd be going to American Eagle or Urban Planet, and I was out here going to Value Village because that was just the cheapest way to go. So it's not to say, like, I'm not used to the feeling of, like, not being sure about how, like, money's gonna fluctuate in, but I'm definitely just gonna say I'm sick and tired of it. Holy cow, I am sick and tired of it. And, you could just go, oh, Kawa, why don't you just save up your money and stop spending it on stuff? I have a system, okay? I had a system that really worked for me, which I might go back to. I'm simply desperate. And I'm not trying to do this to be like, oh, guys, give me money or whatever. Like, I'm never going to ask people to do that for me. It's more so I just want to come here and rant, to be honest. I just want to come here and rant. I want to see if anybody else feels the way I do, because holy cow, it is so stressful being in your 20s in this generation and this time. And I don't know. I definitely feel like everybody's kind of, hitting a point there where they say that this is basically like the next depression. What's it called? The Great Depression Part 2. Because let me just say, your girl isn't feeling so great, but I am definitely feeling depressed. But anyways, for those of you who don't know, I work a minimum wage job, basically. I do have a little bit of a raise because I worked my way up a position or two. So I make like 18 something, just for reference, which is not bad. It's really not bad. But the thing is, like, in the area I live in, a lot of places, A, aren't hiring, and B, like, if they are hiring, like, slots get filled so easily, and there's just like there's way too many people and like not enough jobs in this economy, and everyone's struggling to make do. Like, literally everybody in my age group is struggling right now. It's not like back in the day where you could easily be like, oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna finish school, I'm gonna go buy a house. Now people are like spending years paying back their tuition, And a lot of people in my age group, I'm 22 now, by the way. So last year everybody graduated in my age bracket. A lot of people graduated and they still can't find jobs, and it saddens my heart because it's like, you did all this education and for what? Just to be on a waiting list for years. So it's a hard time for all of us. It's really a hard time for all of us. And like some people might have like a leg up another by having just like a rich family or having a place to stay at. But some people, like a lot of people in my social circle, do not have that. Especially in a town like the one I live in. A lot of people come from other countries here. Or a lot of people don't have, mentally stable parents or a safe house to go to. And a lot of people don't have trust funds or money that they can ask their parents for.
Wake up, Rory. Whether you like it or not, you're one of us. You went to prep school. You go to Yale. Your grandparents are building a whole damn astronomy building in your name.
That is different, okay? It's not like I live off a $5 million trust fund my parents set up for me.
Yeah, well, you're not exactly paying rent either.
I feel like in a society where a lot of influencers have tons of money and a lot of influencers and social media stars have, they have a stable, not stable income, but they definitely have an income of some sort. And I know I'm here, social media person, talking about all this, but I don't have an income yet. Like I'm a small YouTuber. Until I kind of get this channel to be afloat, I'm not making anything. And let me just say, I have been at it for, I have been at doing this YouTube channel like on and off for about like almost 4 years now, since COVID actually. So yeah, I don't really have a plan in mind. I kind of just like turned on the camera and I'm just kind of ranting, and I'm just gonna hope that me in the future when I'm editing this doesn't have a horrible time trying to figure out what the hell I'm trying to talk about. So anyways, what I was saying earlier, I work a minimum wage job basically. Like I'm just gonna call it that because realistically I don't make a lot from it. And that being said, like even so, like a lot of people that I work with can't even get 40 hours. A lot of people are getting half of what they asked for or way less. Like there's some people that I work with that were getting like 4-hour shifts. I feel so bad for, like, because, the manager who does the scheduling, I know how hard it is for them because they basically have to play God, honestly. They have to play God and decide who gets hours, who doesn't. It's stressful for everyone, really. And I think about certain people I've met along the way, like who I went to school with, especially, oh my gosh, let me just say, being in a program of teachers and upcoming teachers, there's a lot of people who come from families that were just like all of them were teachers. And so me sitting there half the time when we were talking about poverty or talking about like low income families or the at risk youth or whatnot, like sitting there, I was kind of like,
Wait, is this f***ing play about us?
like I'm okay, but let me just say how many mental breakdowns I've had and how many times I had to leave class, because I couldn't sit there and just hear people talk about my life. Um, Because I think what hurt the most was sitting in that room with all these people who have privilege and don't even realize it. Is that for them, they were talking about other people. For me, I was talking about myself. And especially hearing people talk about experiences like from the perspective of not knowing what it's like, oh, we have to help these people in need. We have to help these people who are struggling. And in my head, I'm like, it's so weird how I can sit in a class with the people in the same program, paying the same tuition fees, but having so many more things to worry about than them. And I say that because a lot of the people I met along the way, like friends, classmates, whatnot, like they were either living with their parents were paying for their tuition. They have a leg up in the education field because a lot of their family is teachers. I did have this one family friend, I would call her. It was my ex's mom, and she was super helpful along the way. She helped me get an interview at this online teaching job, and she had been there for me since the start of me deciding that I wanted to be a teacher. So I still to this day thank that woman. We don't talk anymore, but she was an amazing human being, and we need more people like that because she wasn't direct family for me, but even after me and my ex parted, she still remained in contact with me for a while, and that level of maturity is something I will always respect. And she understood me. Like we were like she was like one of the first like motherly figures I could really relate to that wasn't my own mom, and in the fact that like she didn't grow up with a lot either. She didn't have all the opportunities that other people had, and so I remember a lot of the time she would always just tell me like, you're beating odds, like you're doing things that many people can't do, like you're climbing up the ladder. And for me, I really appreciated those comments, but at the same time the little voice in my head would just go, why do I have to struggle? Why do I have to put in 10 times more work than the average person or like the person next door. Don't get me wrong, I am so super thankful. I'm like so super thankful for every single opportunity I've been given in my life, and I'm so thankful that I am healthy, that I can afford to do this YouTube thing, you know? Like it took me a while to save up, but like I am so thankful that I get to do something that I love even if it doesn't really result in much, you know? But sometimes, like, you know, it does suck. And I think it's just something we have to all admit that sometimes things in life just suck. I don't know. Something I also really think about a lot is the town that I live in is majority people aren't also very well off with money. Like there's some like kind of ghetto areas where I live, and you know, so you see a bunch of homeless people sometimes, and like, you know, everybody has their own story. And but then also in a town like this, I like to call it like depression town, because in this town, like everybody's drinking, everybody is smoking, everybody's drinking, everybody's doing some kind of recreational drug, and it's not very recreational, let's just say that. And so I found like when I moved here, it was so hard not to get roped into all of that. But to be honest, you know, going to the clubs, going over to your friend's house to drink, to smoke, you know, it's one of the cheaper ways to have fun. Realistically, like, what else are you gonna afford to do? You know, we can't go on vacations. We can't plan trips to stay in an Airbnb. Like, everything is way too expensive for that kind of a lifestyle. So people resort to drugs and alcohol. And the sad reality is, because that's all we can all really afford to do, that's what we do. And then that also hinders our progression towards anything more. And so it kind of just becomes a cycle. And everybody, it's interesting too though, because like the more people you meet in certain areas, the more like you are surrounding yourself with specific groups of people who sometimes don't have the motivation to really continue with life, so they resort to things that harm themselves, or uh you're around people who want more but seriously cannot get more. And then you also have the people who have, you know, families, and maybe sometimes even no families. Like, I don't know, some people do have families, but how many of them actually consider their family like to be family? Because what does it mean to be family? Honestly, like it doesn't always have to be by blood. Like to me, being family means being there for people unconditionally. Not everybody has people in their life that they can call their family. A lot of people out here are really just so lonely. And I've noticed that too. Like even at one point, like when I was going through it, I was so lonely. It makes me so sad that a lot of people feel this way in my day-to-day life, you know? Like I have my streaming life and my YouTube life, but I also have like my real life. Like it just feels like everything is so depressing. Like everybody's so depressed. Everything just feels so depressing. All we can really do is go, yep, well, that's just what it is. And in order to beat odds, you really have to put in the work. Right now, like for me, this is putting in the work. I'm making a video, I'm ranting, and I don't know. But also, like that being said, like yeah, ranting and being there for yourself and making sure you're mentally okay is part of putting in the work. And I don't think a lot of people know that. I really do hope that the people in my life do get out of those circles, because I know what it's like to be in that cycle. And it's really not great. It's really not great, because like until you kind of have like that moment where you're like, you just have that like aha moment, like I need to change. Like you have to want to change. Like within yourself, you have to want to change in order to change. And that's not going to happen until like you personally decide like, yeah, I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of this shit, you know? And that sometimes it sucks because that's not even enough. You know, you can want something all you want. You can truly want something. But sometimes, you know, for example, me, like the reason I decided to make this video is because I finally saved up at least $100, and I thought that I was going to be okay. Like I thought I was going to be like able to slowly start saving again. And then I just got hit with a payment that I forgot about, and then I am back to being broke. So we love it. So I guess I guess today just really got me thinking about how hard it is to really get out of a rut when you really are in one. Because I feel like for me, like I have gotten rid of any like unnecessary payments. I got rid of my Crunchyroll. I got rid of Disney Plus. Like I got rid of like everything I could get rid of. There's certain things I can't get rid of, like Premiere Pro. I got to pay for that because I want to be able to upload videos. Payments like groceries, like my phone bill, my school payments because I still owe the school money because I left. You know, like everything just hits you. Especially when you don't have a very big income. Like for me, like an average of what I make is probably like 700 per payment, like 600, 700 if I'm lucky. And it's really flipping hard because for me, I pay my rent is $600 because I live in like a cheaper area of Ontario. I know some people pay like way more, which oh my god, if that is you, I am sending my thoughts and prayers to you people, especially people down in Toronto. Like I feel free. I thought I was going to be better off, and then that payment hit me, and then suddenly I was back to square one. The amount of times I have thought in the last couple of months that I was gonna be able to get myself out of this. It's really freaking hard. You know what's something that's also interesting too is, you know what? Like I will say there are some perks to not growing up with a lot or not having a lot is that you become really self-sufficient. Like let me just say I don't have a car. I cannot afford to have a car even if I did want one. I don't have my license because you also got to pay to get a license too. My leg's numb. Oh my gosh. But yeah, for a while I was getting my own groceries. Like I have this like buggy thing, and also yeah, like this haircut did by myself. I YouTube tutorialed it because, you know, as much as I want to go to the salon and pay like $30 or $40, like I really cannot afford that. So yeah, like I feel like people who don't have money really become self-sufficient because you gotta, like you learn how to develop skills. Like, and I did my taxes by myself today on the internet through this online thing that my sister showed me. I know some people can go and pay people to do it for them, but I simply just cannot. I genuinely cannot afford it. Like it's so weird. I don't want to keep saying that because I don't, I guess I don't know, maybe I just feel some like inner shame about not having money because I feel like because the world makes you feel like you should have shame for not having a lot. I still have a lot of people on social media from my high school and stuff, and just seeing them like graduate and like have great lives, like even just them having great lives when they were in high school, like going on vacation to Punta Cana every 5 months or whatever, or like, you know, like having the biggest birthday parties for their boyfriend, or like Christmas, like when people post their mountains of gifts. Like I remember that it would always bug me because it's like, okay, I got like a hair dryer and like socks. So I don't want to say like being poor is a good thing, but it definitely makes people a lot more well-rounded in my opinion. Like if you met anyone, like anyone you meet that has like struggled or been at rock bottom, they are the most like wholesome like human being, especially if they're able to dig themselves out of that rut. Like it's so respectable. They're like the most wise people, especially oh my god, especially when you meet somebody in their like 40s and they've like been through it all. I feel like when you don't have a lot and things go wrong, it's less of a big jump than let's say if you were rich and then suddenly you lost a lot. It would feel like a way bigger loss, you know? People who don't have a lot are just way more grateful and have a lot more gratitude and a lot more love for life. Because honestly, like, what else are you gonna do? Either you're gonna spend your entire life just hating everything and hating everybody else and being envious of people, or you could spend it just enjoying the little things. I think something that, you know, I was thinking about it recently and I actually kind of want to make a video on it is finding ways to have fun that are cheap, especially going back to when we were kids. Like when when you're a kid and you don't actually have an income, you found ways to have fun even if it was without money, you know, in some situations without drugs or without alcohol, you know, like you would play with your dolls. I don't know, you play pretend, or you would draw. That was something I did a lot. I drew a lot. Like I did a lot of art because, you know, you go to dollar store, you get like colored pencils. They last you like a year, depending on how much you color, I guess. And honestly, like I've been trying to find ways to kind of go back into that mindset of filling up my time with things that aren't just drinking or going out to the club, or because I feel like that's always just the easier option, right? That I feel like that's always the easier option. No, it's a coping mechanism. It's really a coping mechanism, and it's not a healthy one. It's definitely not a healthy one at all. Like I would definitely say like it's recreationally it can be healing, especially like getting drunk with your friends, you know, once in a while though. But like that's the thing, everything in life requires balance. There's this one quote from my old friend. He said moderation and moderation, and that has always stuck with me because it's really true. And if you don't know what that means, it's basically like you want to do things in moderation, but sometimes, you know, you want to go a little ham with it because you need a balance, right? You need to be able to do things in moderation, but then sometimes you gotta let loose. It's kind of like the work hard, play hard mentality. I'm not like a mental health professional or like some spiritual guru or anything, but I'm just a person with experiences. Social media, I feel like, can just be used as such a great platform to like share all of our knowledge, you know what I mean? And I want to use my social media for that. I want to be able to connect with everyone, connect with you guys who are subscribed to me, connect to new people as well. Like, you know, if you're new, hello. And I want us to all be able to just be there for each other and have like an emotional support group because, you know, it's so flippin' hard to do all this stuff alone. And I think that's also why I'm making this video, is because, you know, I genuinely believe that people need people. As much as we want to say like, you know, I'm going to be a lone wolf, I'm going to do this all by myself, which definitely how I feel a lot of the time. We need people. We need people to survive. We need to rely on people. And like that's the thing. I think that's something we lost touch with, especially since like the internet has kind of started thriving, is we don't know how to ask for help anymore. We don't know how to ask for help because you can easily just Google a tutorial. You can easily Google how to do things. You know, we no longer rely on each other for specific skills. Like, let's say my one friend is a pro chef. Like, yo, like I could ask them to make me something, and in return, like I'll take my skills. Like maybe they're starting a business, take my art skills, do something for them. I think people need to go back to helping each other and being more of a community in a world, especially in a time like this, when people are struggling. Everyone's struggling. Like, I think we all just need to start helping each other. And it sucks because the world has become such like a man for himself kind of world that people are scared to ask for help because sometimes people will screw each other over. People will be selfish, you know? That's not something we can avoid. Like, realistically, a lot of people are selfish. That's why I think I also want to use this platform to advocate for just love. Like, we all just need to love each other. We need to stop focusing on what someone can do for us, but more so focus on what we can do for them. And I think if everybody starts approaching life like this, I feel like we're all just going to be better off as humans, as a society, as a community. Yeah, that's holy shit, that just got really deep. Anyways, I just wanted to talk about it, I guess. And if any of you relate, feel free to comment down below, because honestly, life sucks and we gotta be there for each other. So, you know, if you're struggling too, I see you. Okay, I see you all. I'm gonna give you all like a big freaking hug. I wish I could give you all like a hug right now. Anyways, I just kind of wanted to like rant about that a bit. If you like these ranting videos or just like chatting videos, like feel free to give this video a like. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications so you guys can see when I upload. But until then, this has been Kawa Yeet, and I'm gonna yeet out. Bye.